What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/AllNBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares, and I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler. Legs, happy New Year's Eve to you. We were talking before we go. You're going small this year. No big proclamations or parties to welcome in the new year.
Well, I don't know about no proclamations. That maybe I'll have a few of those, but no big party plans, man. I used to get into it pretty hardcore. It was one of my favorite nights of the year, but that ended a number of years ago, man. I'm all about comfortable clothing and chilling at home now, man. And whoever's around is around. So it'll just be a quiet family night at home tonight.
Are you one of the guys that, like, this is what I do when I get home and my day's over, even if it's 5 o'clock at night, I throw the sweatpants on and a t-shirt. I get comfortable immediately once I know I'm not going out again.
Yeah, I do. And it's like, it's crazy because that's what I'm in now. Like, suits are super comfortable clothing, man. And I tell you, don't you feel like COVID changed a lot of our mentality around that?
We became bums. Yeah.
You just became, I mean, that's all I did for months was wake up, throw some sweats on. And at that time, we were doing a ton of remodeling in our house. We were doing it ourselves. And so, like, I was, like, learning every day, Googling stuff, how to do this, watching YouTube videos. So, like, I threw on, like, basically work sweats and just went to work for months at a time. And I just – even the coaches, right, with the quarter zips now.
Man,
right? I mean, there's no way you were going to get them to go back to that, even though I think there's a few coaches in the league that want to show off their swag. Most of these guys are like, absolutely not. It's the greatest thing to ever happen. Wears quarter zips and slacks on the bench and sneakers. It's the best thing that ever happened to those guys.
Do you miss it? Do you wish coaches would go back to the formality of the suit?
Not at all. I'm perfectly fine. Perfectly fine with what those guys are in. I think it looks kind of cool, man. The uniformity of it.
Yeah.
It's fine. And it's like, it's kind of cool too. Like they're throwing these random colors that have nothing to do with their team's color scheme some nights, and just everybody on the bench will wear those. No, I'm good with it, man. Whatever's more comfortable puts you in a better frame of mind.
Well, that's what I do, so I guess I can't complain about it. I'm with you. Today's show, we're going to break down the entire slate of last night. There was 4 games. We're going to talk a lot about the Sixers-Grizzlies game because I thought it was really interesting. Pistons-Lakers. Pistons continue to impress with their toughness. Lakers, not so much. We're also going to talk Nikola Jokic is out for at least 4 weeks, they're saying, with this hyperextended knee. So we're going to talk about that because I think there's a lot of fallout from that one. It's not just about the Nuggets. It's about the entire Western Conference, how that will affect things. And then later on, we're going to talk about the best star performance, role player performance, and rookie performance we have personally seen so far this year. So not the best ones overall, but we're going to talk about the ones we have seen, either we were calling or just covering those games. But let's start last night in the association with the Sixers beating the Grizzlies in overtime, 139-136. This one, I have 2 thoughts on this. Well, actually 3. One of them is the game-winning shot by VJ Edgecombe just continues to look like a guy who's ready for the moment. It also is the fact that there were 3 of the fastest players. As I was watching this game, I'm like, there are 3 of the quickest players in the league right now. And Ja Morant, Tyrese Maxey, and Edgecombe also had some nice quick drives to him. But my biggest takeaway, despite the loss, was that this was vintage Ja Morant. I was very impressed with him, and I haven't been impressed with Ja Morant very much recently. Last night, he looked like his old self with his ability to get to the cup, his finishing, the acrobatic finishing. It was kind of nice to see Ja Morant look like Ja Morant. 40 points is his season high. He's only scored more than 30 twice this year. Legs, that's what I thought of the game. But what's your big takeaway from it?
I'll start with the last thing you said about Ja Morant. And you're right. I think physically he did some of the things that we really became enamored with his first few years in the league. Just special. A guy that's that, slightly built to be that explosive. Now he doesn't have as many of the crazy, powerful finishes over shot blockers that he did early in his career because he took a lot of falls and it cost him time. It cost him games because his body was just wildly out of control up in the air. Didn't take much to get him off balance. He was landing awkwardly. He hurt his wrist, his back. And he doesn't do that as much, but he does still do some of the stuff where he hangs in the air, like, and manipulates the ball and finishes with some sweet English or some sort of layup. Or he's got an array of floaters. He got to some pull-ups last night that were important down the stretch. All that's true. Ja Morant put on a show last night. All right, he's very, very talented and a very efficient night, 16 for 22 from the field. Here's what stood out to me, though, about his performance. He looked miserable. Like, did he not look miserable the entire time?
He kind of always does. You're not,
right. He just,
but
even more than he used to, man. Like he's like doing things and making shots and keeping them in the game or whatever, and then shaking his head miserably if there's a timeout and he's walking to the bench. At one point, he scored and he was gesturing, and if you could pick up on it, it looked to me like he was gesturing kind of to the crowd, but what he was saying was he kept taking his arms. He was going like this, like outside. And what he was saying was, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. He just kept saying it. And I was thinking, what is he really saying? Like, hey guys, let's not overthink this. Just get out of my way and let me go.
Probably.
I will say this. It looks like his obvious disdain for his head coach is like palpable.
Yeah.
Right. And look, they've already had issues earlier this year and he was benched and stuff. And like, but he wears it on his sleeve, and he's supposed to be their best player, their leader, the guy that they count on to do things no one else on their roster can do every night. But I think there's this underlying tension that he has between himself and his head coach, and maybe a lack of respect or belief in Thomas Isla. I don't know what it is, but he looked so miserable and like cantankerous would be the word I would use, while he's on his way to a 40-point beautiful game.
I was going to say, but he also looked good. I mean, he also still was able to get by his guy.
Crazy about it. So like, I don't know. Like, so for me, it's almost like, yeah, the 40-point game and the dominant plays that he made, the offense, the stuff he did late. You're like, wow, man, it's incredible. Like, but at the same time, it's like, does some of it then the impact of that get lessened because of his overall demeanor when you're trying to lead a team, and it just didn't. The two things didn't go with me last night. I'm watching it going, this guy's having an incredible game. This game's going to come out of the wire. It's one of the most entertaining games I watched all year. It's probably top 5 for me. And yet here is this guy out there doing these incredible things, and he looks just so angry and like miserable in his situation. And maybe he is, maybe he isn't, but that's how it comes off. And I don't know if that takes away a little bit from his overall performance.
Why this didn't stick out to me as much is because it's been the status quo for a while now. So to me, I'm almost blind to it at the moment just because we've been seeing it so much. But why it was important to me was I wasn't sure Ja Morant still had this gear in him. And especially, he's going up against some other quick guys. I didn't know he hasn't had that many impressive performances this year, like explosive scoring performances. So I kind of wondered if that was a thing of the past. But it just stood out to me, and it meant something to me that he was still able to do that. All the things you're saying are true, and I'm not buying Grizzlies stock or anything like that. But it just that game to me, 40 points, 16 of 22 shooting, extremely efficient, was getting to the paint, getting to the rim as he wanted. It just was an impressive game. Also impressive on the Memphis side was Cedric Coward. He had 28 points on 10 of 16 shooting, 16 boards, including 6 offensive ones. And maybe the most important part of Cedric Coward's night, 2 big-time dunks. I didn't think both of the dunks he got, I didn't think he was going to be able to get, and he got them. One of them was like over a defender. So those 2 guys stood out to me on the Memphis side. I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah, Cedric Coward's only had double-digit rebounds 6 times all year. I mean, it's not like he's a bad rebounder. He's an adequate rebounder, but he's not like this big-time rebounder. So to put up 16 boards, and he had, I believe he had a double-double at halftime. The Sixers had a hard time dealing with him, man. And so, yeah, he's been impressive all year. I mean, he's one of those rookies that's going to get lost a little bit in the Cooper Flagg talk, the Con Knipple talk, Dylan Harper talk, right? Edgecombe. There's been guys at the top, very top of the draft. By the way, I think I just mentioned the top 4 guys in the draft. So all those teams got it right, by the way, because all those dudes are having great rookie years. So Cedric Coward's going to get lost in that a little bit, but make no mistake, this guy's had an incredible rookie year, big time impact, one of his best games, if not his overall best game last night, in a game where they needed all of that to just, kind of be right there in the mix. And He was a great story in the game. You're right about Ja. Again, he was sensational in this game. And some of the stuff he did late, Memphis looked like they were out of the game with a couple minutes to go. They fell down as much as, I believe, 7 or 8. And they hit a couple big threes. Ja Morant made some incredible plays, incredible drives to sort of hold them off. And then Edgecombe hit the ultimate dagger at the end of that game to decide it. But, yeah, so for Memphis, there's some positivity there, man. Their star player is only 26 years old, and he played great last night, and you like to see that. I still think there's just a lot of uncertainty about what's going to happen in the future with Ja Morant or their head coach or both, or who knows. Yeah. Cedric Coward is definitely a rookie they hit it on, and he's a big-time player in this league, very, very productive. And Memphis is right there, man. They're like basically a 500 team. They're going to be a play-in type team all year in the Western Conference. So all of these games are important. Philadelphia's going to be in that category too. So this was a really important game for both teams as we've closed out 2025.
And yet the Sixers come away with the win in overtime. They really should have won this game in regulation. They were up big. They kind of blew it in the last minute and a half or so of this game. And I should say that Memphis made some spectacular plays to it was a little bit of both ways. But then in overtime, they get the win, and they get it with a VJ Edgecombe three-pointer to go ahead. But Maxey, Edgecombe, even Embiid in this one, you kind of had those guys, but really the two guards, they just provide such a tough to me, I can't figure out why this team isn't better. When those two guys are on the court, what other team has that kind of like off the dribble, hard to keep them in front of you, challenge? Maxey just powers up and goes right around defenders. He's going to his right. He just kind of like shows that he's going and then just gets by you anyway. But Edgecombe also last night looked like the rookie that gets us excited. So what stood out to you about why they were able to get this win? I felt like it was a big win for them.
Huge win for them. And first I want to quickly just answer the question about why they haven't been better. They're sitting here 17 and 14. I think it's just been the lack of continuity of like their lineups and style of play and identity and how they play every night. Embiid plays, doesn't play. It's a totally different thing. Paul George missed a large chunk at the start of the season. So it kind of feels like to me, if you had given me a script before the season and said 31 games in, this is how many games Joel Embiid would have played. These are going to be his numbers. Right. This is how many games Paul George would have played 31 games in. I would have said there's no way they're 17 and 14. That would have spelled to me, 13 and 18, something like that, 31 games in. Instead, they're 3 games over 500. So I actually look at it like I think they're pretty good position, all things considered. And like the Embiid thing, look, there's some nights he looks so sluggish and lack of explosiveness and all that. But they're clearly trying to preserve him as much as they can. And they're hoping if they're in the mix, they're in the top 4, top 5 in the East, right, which they are now. If they're there at the end of the year, and then they can unleash this guy and hopefully let him play every other night in the playoffs, he's still so dominant and so unstoppable. That's going to give them their best chance. That's their strategy. It's going to cost them games in the regular season. There's no question about it. The nights he doesn't play, and then also just when he does play, how different it can be for the guards to play with him when he's on the floor. And in fact, he's got to touch it every time down the floor. Right. So that to me explains that, Adam. But you're right. Big game, big win. I think the story for me was Edgecombe, the way because he made so many plays. He made 2 huge threes, including the biggest one, the dagger shot, the end of the game to win it. But couple of the drives he had in transition in the fourth quarter and into overtime, the block shot that he had at the rim when he just hung in the air forever when it looked like Memphis had an uncontested layup. Everything the guy did was like splashy for that stretch of the game. And for a rookie to be like that good and that composed down the stretch and shoot the ball that easily from deep with the game on the line, man, so impressive.
He has like this, he doesn't get too high, too low. He has like this thing to him where he's not like flashy. He's not doing a bunch of expressive stuff. He kind of is a serious player for a rookie. He's kind of just in the moment, and he has a good motor. So he's fun to watch. And I think it translates to why the moment never feels too big for him is because he's not like, he doesn't seem to be riding these emotional swings. He just is like a worker. He's almost a star player with a worker's mentality.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. So there's been a lot of comparisons thrown out there for him. He kind of runs when he's kind of in that jog mode, like Jimmy Butler. He's got this sort of very stiff running style to him, right? That should be Butler. The plays he made last night, the block I was talking about, the finish he had in transition when I believe it was Cedric Coward, or it might have been Jaren Jackson. One of those two guys was backpedaling on defense. He took it right into their chest. He jumped. Their hand was all over the ball, and he just held it in the air and came down. They dropped a little before he did, and right before he hit the ground, he released it off the glass. That was Dwayne Wade. That was a Dwayne Wade finish. The block was a Dwayne Wade block. He's got some of that in him for sure. Some Jimmy Butler. These are high praise. I understand that, who we're talking about here. But the guy is a rookie.
Yeah.
And so why not? Let's project out. Ultimately, everything breaks right for this guy. Those, to me, are the two best comparisons. But the one thing I'll say, he's got a better natural shooting stroke from deep than Dwayne Wade had. Certainly early in his career, and even at Dwayne Wade's best when he was a finals MVP, Dwayne Wade was mid-range and in. He was mid-range and free throw line and finishing at the rim. That was deeper into his career when he won a finals MVP and led Miami to a title. So as a rookie, certainly, he's got much better shooting range and purer shooting range than either one of those guys, but he's got a lot of the athletic ability and just natural, raw offensive talent that both of those guys have.
That's quite the comp. I hadn't thought about that one. I wonder if he's powerful enough. Like Dwayne Wade, despite his smaller size or whatever, just played with a ton of power. Edgecombe has explosiveness. I don't know if he's going to have the power. Like Dwayne Wade, I felt like he could hit you off your spot really easily and just play with that. And I'm curious, maybe, what do you think? Does Edgecombe, will he grow into that? Does he have the body for that?
I think he does, man. I think he's built that way, that he can do that kind of stuff. I think it's maybe a little bit more because what we haven't seen a ton of out of him. Actually had an incredible crossover last night. Actually, Robbie Hummel was calling the game. He made a call on it because he was right. He hit, I don't remember who's guarding him. He hit somebody with a stop crossover. He went down the slot inside the foul line, stopped, crossover. He ended up at 20 feet. He covered 8 feet going the opposite direction after the crossover. The defender nowhere in the picture. So, but to get to a mid-range, that was my point. He doesn't shoot a ton of those where Dwayne Wade could get that shoulder into you and physically knock you off balance and then do that big jump into a 2-footed stop for the pull-up. He doesn't do a lot of that. He's more prone to get to the rim or to shoot a deep shot, and I think that can come without a doubt. He showed me some handle last night that I didn't know he really had in terms of creating separation off the dribble against a quick defender. And it came pretty easily to him and effortless. So sky's the limit, man. They have to be absolutely thrilled. And look, what's interesting about this pick? Remember, the talk with Ace Bailey.
Right.
Coming out, right? This was the big talk. And I don't know if who knows? And they'll never admit it now. The Sixers, they would never say, yeah, Ace was the guy we were looking at, but he wouldn't come for a visit because you want to look like, no. Edgecombe was the guy we wanted all along because Edgecombe has turned into this already. But that's made it interesting. At least that made it, I think, clearer for the Sixers when he said he would not come do a private workout for the Philadelphia 76ers. So he ends up in Utah. Edgecombe ends up in Philly, and I think Philadelphia 76ers front office, coaching staff, and fans are thrilled that it worked out that way.
I keep thinking about where the league is going because every year I just think it evolves a little bit as teams try to kind of figure out what the trends are in the NBA and how to win the margins. And having multiple ball handlers seems to be one of those things that, we're moving in a direction where you probably want to have 3, 4, 5 guys that can put the ball on the floor and get around their defender without any offense. Just, can you do that? And they have it, obviously, in Maxey and Edgecombe. It makes them so explosive. They had a 123 offensive rating last night as a team. Big part because those two guys are so hard to guard. But when you think long-term, they also have Quentin Grimes and Jared McCain. McCain's still coming back and getting into, he'll probably spend the whole year. I don't know. Maybe you have a take on Jared McCain. But he looks like this might be a bounce-back year, like he spends the entire year getting back to what he was. But nonetheless, that gives you 4 guys that are legitimate. They could all beat you off the dribble and get into the paint. And that's why I look at it and say that's kind of the recipe right now. The San Antonio Spurs, you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. A lot of these teams have lots of ball handlers, and Philadelphia has that.
I'd love to listen to the list you're creating for this team. I mean, you've got Maxey, Edgecombe. We've talked already a lot about them. You've got Paul George, who is, it's a little bit more spotty and selective, but the guy can flat out still play offensively, and he can handle the ball. He's probably their second best ball screen operator now, and he's a big guard. So you got Paul George, and then you mentioned the other two guys, like Quentin Grimes. I mean, any given night, Quentin Grimes could pop you for 25, 30 points. Yeah. Jared McCain, I agree with you. It's going to take time. Now, I don't know that it will be the entire year, but based on when it happened and the number of games he's getting under his belt now, it's possible maybe by like March, Jared McCain starts to have more nights that look like last year, but it won't be consistent. And then it'll be next season. At the start of the year, I think Jared McCain will look like the guy that he did when he got hurt. But he might still have some of that in him. And who knows? Like, he could surface – a guy like that could surface and bail you out of a playoff game. Like, he's that good offensively. And if he's feeling better physically and more confident, more importantly, of jumping and landing in traffic, because I think psychologically that's the hard part to get back, where you're just playing free, you're not thinking at all about landing and jumping. When that's gone and you're just playing basketball, he might have a game or two in the postseason that, like, Jared McCain's the difference maker because he's that good offensively. But you just named 5 guys on the perimeter, and we didn't even mention Joel Embiid. Right. So look at the offensive firepower that this team has, and they continue to be this really intriguing team. Dying to see what they look like when March, April get here, and how that would look at a first-round series against one of those top teams if you end up with the Philadelphia 76ers with all of this offensive talent. Now, look, you got some guys that have not played as well as they need to in the postseason in their careers, and Embiid and Paul George top of that list. Those guys would have to be better than they've been historically, but that's a lot of talent to deal with in a 7-game series as a team floating around like in that 4-5 area all year. That would be a scary first-round matchup.
Well, I want to get to the Embiid part of this because that's the one part that's a little bit strange. The plus side of what I saw last night, he is, I think, because when you put those quick guards out there, especially when Grimes is playing with the other two, which has happened a decent amount this year, it gives you all this attacking angles, but you got to make sure you open up the paint. Embiid is running the dribble handoff game and the pick and roll game a lot. He had 8 assists last night. He was trying to be out on the perimeter, but the ball finds him a lot. And he took 28 shots last night, plus 12 free throws. And it almost seems like with this team, screening is going to be big. He's a big screen. He's a big body to kind of create some space and let those guys get downhill. But it seems like right now the ball is just finding him, where I wonder if you think he has to adjust his game a little bit more to kind of pop and get out the way and allow for those guys a little bit more dribble penetration. That's what I felt like last night when there were just so many plays where I was like, back to Embiid.
I agree with that, and that's why there was a couple of possessions at the end of the game. I felt like they could have won the game in regulation if they managed their possessions better down the stretch, and it involved him. And, you know, it's just such a difficult situation for them all to be in. This is still Joel Embiid, MVP, former MVP. This is still a guy, even last night now, he has more nights with these sub 50% shooting nights.
That's the part,
and he ever did before.
Yep.
He has more nights. Now he still gets to the line, and he's still talented enough offensively. He can have a 31-point night like he did last night, but he has 28 shots to get that. That's not a typical Joel Embiid line. He normally throughout his career, like, he's going to have a lot more nights, over 50%, still get to the line. On a night when he would get 31, you know, when he was feeling better, you know, he might take 16 shots to do that. But he took 28 last night. He had some shots at the rim he didn't finish. He had 4 shots on one possession. He finally tipped in his own miss, but like all 3 normally would be either makes or dunks. So it's not going to be efficient all the time because he doesn't move as well. He doesn't get off the ground as well. Yeah. And a ball's going to find him, Adam. If he's on the floor, it's going to find him, because I think there's, especially like a guy like Edgecombe, he was great down the stretch, but still he's a rookie. This is Joel Embiid. You don't think he's got one eye on Joel Embiid all the time? Of course he does. Maxey probably in a lot of ways, even though I think everybody kind of feels like it's Maxey's team now, and certainly the fan base wants it to be considered that. Tyrese Maxey still is like, man, that's Joel Embiid, man. What are y'all talking about? Like, you know, so if Embiid's on the floor, he's heavily involved and in the mix and touching the ball, and it's going to affect their flow sometimes. And they just have to hope that he has more efficient nights when they're going to need him than 11 for 28, even though he still had a pretty massive stat line.
I'm still buying the Sixers, especially once they get their full complement of players back. I still think that there's a great team in there. I do think the Embiid question is going to linger over this entire season because he's still good. He's a very, very good player, but they need to find a way so that the ball doesn't find him as often as it is. Not that he has to just get out of the way, but there is something of it. You roll to the foul line in a pick and roll. You set the screen and you roll, just that short roll where he loves to catch the ball. You're going to get the ball. Like, the ball's going to find you at that spot, and you might have to not pop to there. You might have to roll hard and dive all the way to the dunker or pop out to the three-point line just to allow for some different variants. He's almost always rolling to that free throw line, and I just don't think any other options are going to materialize for them. So, but at the same time, the talent there, I look at it and go, man, there's a good team in there if they can figure it out. If they can all agree to what it is that this makeup of players can be, I think there's a very good team in there, and that's why they're compelling to watch. Any final notes on last night's game?
No, man. Other than, like I said, I would just anybody, if you got League Pass, go back and take a look because it was so fun. That was a really, really fun game,
Explosive
man.
Game.
Just super and great individual shot making plays, basically from the middle of the fourth quarter on. That I felt like every team needed every one of them to get this win. Philly ended up with the ball last when it mattered most, and they get it to go. Edgecombe steps up. So, no, that'd be my only point. If you missed it, you missed a great, entertaining. That's as fun as it gets in the NBA this year. Watch.
Well, that was our FanDuel game breakdown. We always break down one game. Remember, sign up with FanDuel using that promo code ALLNBA. Let's go to our other games, though, last night. And the other one I want to spend a little bit of time with is that Detroit Pistons-LA Lakers game, 128-106. This was a good game for 2.5 quarters. This was a good game. You know, back and forth, competitive, you got something. But, man, here's my top note. The Lakers lost control of this game late in the third and really to start the fourth. It was really, I think, a 12-2 run to start the fourth quarter. And they quit. Legs, I'm not saying that they got run out the gym and, somebody made some shots. They quit. That game, I could not believe what I was watching when the Lakers decided this was over. And it was, talk about a team that, to me, good teams don't quit to that degree. Maybe it happens once or twice a year. The Lakers let go of the rope on that one, and it just snowballed on them in a way that I was like, dang, there's still 9 minutes left in this game, and they've already thrown in the towel.
No, it's kind of been their MO. And look, this is kind of what they are and what stood out to me last night. This was a team that showed that they lack the necessary resolve to fight through adversity. Now, look, the Detroit Pistons are one of the best teams in the league this year. They're legit. We're going to get into them in a minute.
And by the way, they're one of the best teams in the league at making you quit. Like, they're tough,
Definitely.
physical, and so like they lend themselves to that.
No doubt about it. And we're going to get into them in a second because they deserve the credit. You know, when you're talking about the Lakers, it is an interesting story just because of the talent that they have, the names on that roster, and like how they can look like this for stretches of games. We already talked about what they look like on Christmas Day, the game that I called against the Rockets, when it just looked so disinterested in being there. It shocked me on a Christmas Day primetime game. Really did. It shocked me. And then they come back, they blast the Kings, and it looks like, okay, they had this tough practice on Saturday. They come back and they blast a really bad team. Okay, now what? Pistons are coming. That's why that game was less interesting to me than this one. And it wasn't like from the get-go they weren't ready to play, but this is what happens to them. They're in it until something like multiple plays in a row go the opposite way, whether it's turnovers, shot selection, the guys make shots against them, they foul people, whatever it may be, they don't get a call, whatever it may be. You string together like 4 of those, and what is like a 6-8 point game, very winnable, at home, turns into a 20-point deficit because the collective resolve disappears. It disappears. And you're like, it's like literally everybody. And now you're like, man, like their body language, their way that they react to adversity in the course of a game, it rears itself some nights, man. And it reared itself on Christmas from the beginning of the game. It reared itself again last night against a really good team. So if you're a good team and you've got enough talent to deal with the Lakers, which the Pistons do, the Rockets do, these are 2 teams, like if you just keep coming at them, you'll crack them.
Yeah.
They'll crack them. And that's what happened in this game. And then all of a sudden you look up and you can't believe it. Wait, it was a 6-point game 2 minutes ago. Now it's 20. And like now they're emptying the bench with 4 minutes to go. They've got everybody out of the game. when it was like a one possession game in the third quarter, it's crazy how fast it happened, but it's kind of what they are about. They don't look like a unified group at all. Like foxhole mentality, man. I love going to war with the guy next to me every day. I believe in the guy next to me. We're going to do it for each other, not for the coaching staff, not for the fans, not for the media, for us, man, because I like the guys I go to war with, and we're going to fight every day because we're foxhole guys. They don't have a foxhole team.
Yeah.
They don't. And so as a result, it's a lot of individual talent that can keep you in games. It can win games against certain teams, certain nights. But when you face some adversity in a game, they show kind of what they're about. And last night was a perfect example. They just basically let go of the ropes. A great one, man. They just waved the flag. Like, okay, that's it. We don't have a counter punch to what you just did to us.
Yeah.
That's the part that's disappointing. And it just, man, they look so defeated when the game ended, man. And they're walking down that tunnel, and it just looked miserable.
And there's a lot of these games. So in December, they lost 7 times. They lost by 17, 21, 13, 15, 24, 23, 22. This is the whole point. You could see it on their faces. The moment, and 10 points in today's NBA is nothing, Legs. You're 9 minutes to go. You're down 10. Okay, your back is against the wall, but this is not over. Teams come back from that all the time in this modern NBA. They get down 10. And it's just like complete, like you can see it on their face. And that's why their losses this year are not by 6 points, by 5 points. They're by 24 points, 23 points, because they just have too much quit in them. And on the other side, the Pistons, they, in addition to being a team that's just very comfortable in like the physicality, Cade Cunningham, I think, gets a lot of credit for this, because one of the things he's great at is when you trap him on ball, he doesn't. A lot of guys, it's like they speed up, they start dribbling, they try to quickly, where's the pass? He is so calm and comfortable just scanning the floor when there's pressure on him. If he has to pick up his dribble, it's not like he's like pivoting and panicking. He's just confident, finds the open guy, and casually makes the pass to whoever it is that's open. He can make the skip pass. And so I think that trait, that skill, also translates to just how their heart rate is never up. They're always just kind of like, where do we go next? What do we do next? But the physicality of guys like Jalen Duren, Beef Stew, one of my favorites, and then, of course, Asar Thompson, and then Cade Cunningham, they're physical, and if you're not a tough team, they are going to make you quit, because you have to go up and down the court, banging bodies with those guys every single time, and a lot of teams just don't want to do that.
And I'd put Marcus Sasser in that category as well.
He was great last night.
Yeah, he was great last night, and they interviewed Cade Cunningham after the game, and they asked him about him, and he used a great word. He said he's a dog, man. A guy he's got a mental toughness about him, an approach about him that fits in with this group, what they've created here. They've created a tough team, but that also has finesse and talent. They've got both, and they've got this great star player. To your point, the way he composes himself offensively, when he does see extra bodies thrown at him, what he's so good at is just extending his dribble, dragging it a little further, creating two guys like even further now from an area of recovery onto the ball so that he can skip it out and they can go play. And he's never flustered. But yet he can get any shot he wants on the court too. He's athletic and quick enough that he can get what he needs combined with the size and power. But it's mainly his poise and pace that he plays with that makes them always look composed offensively in the half court. It's because of Cade Cunningham. And so this is a team I really love to watch. I admire them a lot. They're 25-8. So this isn't like a terrible loss for the Lakers. The fact that they lost to the Pistons at home, the Pistons capable of doing this to just about anybody. It's a bad loss for the Lakers, the way that it transpired in that short of period of time and the amount of ground that they gave up in that tug of war match. That's what was bad about that loss. I do want to address one thing, because I saw a comment here, because it was all in all caps. The ones that are in all caps, I catch out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah, they're yelling at stuff. That's what it means. They're
someone yelling at us, saying for the last year and a half, we've been saying that this is Luka's team. I guess somehow they're implying that now we're saying it's not. It is Luka's team.
Whose team is it?
It's Luka's team. If you don't think it's Luka's team, show me another. Now listen to me. I'm not saying that's winning basketball all the time.
Right.
With this particular
and
makeup,
it's not right now.
Not with this makeup of a team. What worked for Luka? Think about what worked for Luka in Dallas. It's his show. It's his team. If he's on the court on a team, it's his team. He's the only guy in the league, and he did it last night. And I made a note about it. I didn't write down exactly how many possessions. At one point, he took like 4 consecutive shots without anybody touching the ball.
Yeah.
Who else in the league plays that way? Nobody. So it's Luka's team. It's his show. He does what he wants. It doesn't mean it's winning basketball with this particular group. And look, there's a lot of things about him that aren't like what you look at and say, that's textbook leadership. That's a winner.
No, the opposite. This thing we're talking about with the Lakers having all this quit in them, he's part of it. He had a lot of quit in him last night.
He definitely is. But make no mistake, we're not saying in any way that like that we were bought into 100%. Like this was going to turn around with Luka overnight. He got warts, man. He's got warts. I still would have never made that trade, but he's got warts.
And I don't know if they're growing, over the last year.
Adam, here's what people need to understand. Here's the formula that worked for him.
Yeah.
And I think it's the only one that can.
Might be right.
You surround him with dudes that have very simple job descriptions offensively.
Yeah.
Rim run, spot up and shoot, and maybe one other good offensive player like you had Kyrie. Right. And then guys that want to defend, protect the rim, run the floor, guard on the perimeter, and live with his warts. And that team went to the NBA Finals. Luka Doncic and this type of team, without a lot of toughness, without a lot of individual defenders, without the rim lob threats that he had in Dallas, with another guy, 2 guys that he kind of shares offense responsibility with. No, it looks like this. But don't for a second think that it's anybody other than Luka Doncic's team. Because he's Luka Doncic and he has a uniform, and this is how he plays. And it's the only way he's going to play, and it's the only guy in the league that plays like he plays.
Yeah. Well, here, I mean, 100%. We're on the same page here. I think Luka, by the way, this is a really tough year for him. And one of the things is it's tough to seize leadership and identity of a team when you have LeBron and your coach. It still hasn't settled for him, but it's not an excuse. He has to do it. I almost felt like there's a power vacuum in moments of toughness. That's like, okay, but who's going to make us rally? Who's going to rally the foxhole now? And the Lakers don't have it. It's not LeBron. It's not Luka. It's not anybody right now that's rallying the troops when adversity hits. And that's just a thing right now you could pencil the Lakers in for. Once they get down, you're going to see a team that kind of seems like they are ready to quit, and it's tough. And Legs, I have a theory I came up with in 2023 I want to run by you. And I'm like John Wooden with the Pyramid of Success. I got 3 pillars of NBA of where's you could break every team down into 3 categories and measure them by how well they are at these 3 categories. The first one is your talent, right? So you just say talent and skill level. Does this team have a lot of talent? Do they check that box? The second one is, does those pieces fit? Connection fit? Do they play connected? And do the pieces make sense next to each other? And the third one is toughness and resolve. And I think if you have 2 out of those 3, you can be a really good team. But if you go up against a team that has one of the ones you don't have, all of a sudden now it becomes a thing. So if you're skilled and you're connected, but you're not very tough, and you face a tough team, they might beat you because they out-toughed you and they made you, uncomfortable. Teams that have all 3 are championship contenders. The Lakers right now score a 0 on toughness. They score a 0 on connection. They have some talent. They have a lot of talent. But they are not a connected team, and they certainly aren't tough. And if they run to either of those 2 things against an opponent, odds are they're going to lose.
Well, here's the thing that the Lakers don't do. I guess it's personnel related. It's just like an individual dig deep kind of thing too. But here's the thing: they are horrific at containing the ball. And Detroit basically every time they got any one-on-one coverage last night in the perimeter, they were in the paint. And they had direct points in the paint, which was a ridiculous number last night. I know it was like 70 at one point. I don't know what it ended up. But it was also the plays they created out of that for kickouts. Because like points in the paint are, you get into the paint, you score in the lane. But what about the plays that you collapse the defense because of your penetration, you kick out for a 3? That doesn't even count as points in the paint. But they do that too, because the Lakers can't keep you in front at all. They have too many guys that cannot contain the ball. They're not physical enough. They don't force the ball out initially on the first catch. So take a look at the Lakers half-court defense. Watch where guys catch the ball. They catch it right at the three-point line. So one dribble, they're in the lane. They're in scoring position. Like good teams, if you watch really good defensive teams, Watch, like OKC's a great example. San Antonio does this. Detroit's a good example. Watch the way that they forced the first catch out. And now the guy catches the ball 31 feet. It's a totally different possession. Or on a ball reversal to the top of the key. When you throw the ball to a ball handler or a center that can handle the ball to the top of the key on a reversal and he's at the three-point line, it's a totally different thing than if he catches the ball at 35 feet.
Yeah.
Good defensive teams find a way that all of a sudden you look up, you're 40 feet from the basket because 2 straight passes went toward half court and there's 8 seconds on the clock. That's what good defensive teams do to you. Enough possessions in the course of a game to affect it. The Lakers don't really do that. They're passive. They sit back. You catch it where you want. You cut where you want. You beat me off the dribble if you want to. That's kind of what their tone is defensively. So nobody's good. Everybody's in rhythm against them because no one feels anything. You don't feel any pressure. You don't feel physicality. That's their biggest issue. And then offensively, it's just, it's very Luka dependent with a lot of guys kind of standing around, but there's enough talent there. They're going to put up numbers some nights and win games. That's going to happen, but it's not a consistent winning formula against the better teams in this league. And you saw one of the better teams in the league last night, and that game got out of hand in about an 8-minute stretch.
Shout out the Pistons. They're going to out-tough you, and they're going to make a lot of teams have to grind out whatever they get against them, and a lot of teams just aren't up for that challenge. Let's really quickly go through these other 2 games just to give quick notes here. Celtics beat the Jazz 129-119. 2 notes from this one. Derik White, listen to the stat line, legs. 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 7 block shots. for a guard that's pretty good. Man.
One of the best shot-blocking guards of all time.
Yeah, he gets it done, man. And then on the other side, the guy, Keyonte George, 37 points on 13 of 24 shooting, 6 of 12 from 3. He also had 7 assists. This guy, man, the numbers he's putting up, I think he's like the 10th leading scorer in the NBA right now. Is it possible he's the best player on the Utah Jazz? He's the best prospect. They have Ace Bailey. They've got some future picks. It's possible that we're talking about the Keyonte George Jazz here in the years to come.
Well, I think so. I mean, because he's got the explosive scoring ability. He's 22 years old. Lauri Markkanen is probably a little bit more efficient and consistent. He's a little bit older, really talented offensive player. But Keyonte George, because the ball's in his hands, his playmaking ability to create offense for himself or other people is just at a higher level, and he's 22. I do think that they still, not that they wonder it, but he has to show more growth, decision-making efficiency, those kind of things, improves 3-point percentage, those kind of things. But the talent, yes, this is their most intriguing prospect. We haven't seen enough of Ace Bailey to see, he hasn't really gotten a chance to flourish. So it's got to be Keyonte George at this point. Is this one of your guilty pleasure bad teams?
It was early on, to be honest. I haven't watched them as much as I was early on in the season, but it was early on. I do like what the Jazz do. Real quickly, this last one, hottest team in the NBA, legs. The LA Clippers, 131-90. They're on a 5-game win streak. They scored, 73 points in the first half. Just absolutely on fire, and they've been on fire ever since our guy, Ivica Zubac, went out. You get Brook Lopez in there. Clippers fans tell me there's a lot more spacing now, that there's nobody rolling to the basket. Is it as simple as that, why they're on a run right now?
Listen, I think some of the losses they had early in the year were a little bit head scratching. And I know they didn't have Kawhi for a stretch, but based on their defense a year ago and the way that they finished the year healthy, you had higher expectations. Then they added older guys. They added Chris Paul. That obviously didn't work out. Brook Lopez has been, their primary backup center. He's a guy that has helped them at times, but they John Collins, they added vets, and you were like, did they get too old? And is it going to help them? Although I think they're deeper in terms of guys that Lou would trust, and it just didn't work out early in the year. And now they're starting to put it together, man. Kawhi's been great. James Harden's been sensational. Who would have thought that James Harden was going to average 26 points a game at this stage of his career? When he's got Kawhi Leonard on his team. He didn't want to have to go to LA and do it, but he's doing it again. And their defense has gotten exponentially better. Niederhauser, by the way, has been a real nice find for them. He's been giving them great minutes. So it's coming together right now, man. They've got a lot of talent. This looks more like what we saw the majority of the second half of last year. And I'm not shocked that they've won 5 games in a row. I'm more shocked by the fact that they're 10 games under 500 in the first place.
Well, this is their chance to make a run. Those are the games last night. Well, let's take our first break. On the other side, or our only break, on the other side, Nikola Jokic got a diagnosis, and he's going to be out now for 4 weeks with this knee injury. That makes 4 Denver Nuggets starters, and I'm going to ask Legs how devastating this is for the Nuggets on the other side. FanDuel, you guys know about NBA Happy Hour? Every Friday from 6 to 7:30, it's NBA Happy Hour on FanDuel, your pregame for the weekend. We're talking limited time specials you won't want to miss, boosts, bonuses, surprises, all dropping in the app during Happy Hour. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app to see the week's specials. Then make your move before the shot clock expires at 7:30 Eastern. It's the perfect way to start your weekend. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. What kind of dreams did you have when you were a kid? What did you want to be when you grew up? Well, for me, it was being in sports media, and here I am. If you're thinking about starting your own business, Shopify is the e-commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. Shopify even powers the All City merch store, which you can hop on and buy. We have nice hoodies. We got to get a Legs hoodie or t-shirt or hat or something, all NBA gear. Would you guys buy that if we made some all NBA gear? Let me know. Shopify has you covered with website creation, product descriptions, email and social media marketing, and more. They also have AI tools designed to help you maximize sales. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/allcity. That's shopify.com/allcity. All right, back here, final segment of the All NBA show, final segment of the entire 2025 calendar year. And we have to do it on some bad news. The Denver Nuggets found out that Nikola Jokic has a hyperextended knee. I'm guessing it's a bone bruise because they haven't said what the actual injury is. But he is going to miss, they say, around 4 weeks. He'll be reevaluated in 4 weeks. Legs, they're already down Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson. That's 3 of 4 starters. Now make it Nikola Jokic, 4 starters. Jamal Murray, the lone remaining starter for the Denver Nuggets. And the Nuggets, who have had a fantastic year so far, 22-10, are in the 3 seed, 2 games up, or really a game and a half up of the 6 seed, and 2.5 games up 3 games up of the 7-seeded Phoenix Suns. If they have to go several games with just 1 starter available and a whole month without Jokic, what's in store for this Denver Nuggets team?
I'm going to ask you, I'm going to start by letting you answer that because I want to know your prediction for where, let's say it's in even 4 weeks.
Okay.
So that puts him back at whatever. Let's just call it February 1st. Misses the month of January. Let's just say he misses the whole month. Where will they be sitting when he comes back?
The thing that's tough about this is they have more games in January than any other month. It's the most, they have several back-to-backs. It's the most condensed part of their schedule. So even though it's a 4 weeks, he'll miss more games in that 4 weeks than any other 4-week stretch. And I think that they'll be a 7 seed. The West is just too tough. If I look at it, the only saving grace is I wonder if the Lakers are fraying and about to just like torpedo, spiral out. They have a negative net rating. But Phoenix doesn't look like they're slowing down. Minnesota's not slowing down. Houston's too good. San Antonio's obviously going to be good. The Warriors are far enough back now, 6 games in the loss column, that I think Denver can survive falling below them. But you look at those other teams, I think they'll either be a 6 or a 7 seed by the time Jokic returns.
I think you're going to have the definitive answer on it after this road trip. Not the ideal time to be starting a 5-game road trip.
7 games.
Sorry, 7. They've already played 2. They've got 5 more. These next 5, because these aren't going to be easy. At Toronto, at Cleveland, those are obviously tough games. At Brooklyn, like you got to show up and play and guard them. You got to play against Brooklyn. At Philly, at Boston, really tough places to get wins. So they've already lost to Orlando and Miami. You've got 5 more. I mean, look, it's not unrealistic. They go 1-4, 0-5.
Totally. I mean,
right?
Yeah. Brooklyn is the one bad team, but that's an emotional game. Michael Porter Jr. versus Jamal Murray. That'll be a high profile one.
If that happens, it might be what you said, because then they come home because schedule's a big part of what we're talking about here. Then they come home for a couple, Atlanta, Milwaukee, 2 home games. Won't be easy, either one of those. They're going to have to play well. At New Orleans, at Dallas, it could be a worse 2-game trip than that, I guess. But, these won't be
It's
easy.
winnable. They're winnable, but yeah, it's going to be tough.
Washington, Charlotte, the Lakers at home. Okay, you got to
win those.
You might have to get all 3 of those.
Got to win them.
You might have to get all 3 of those, and then you go Washington, Milwaukee, Memphis, Detroit, Brooklyn, LA to close the month. You might be right, brother. They're 3 games up on the 7 seed right now. Now, here's the thing, though. It's not like a linear move, right?
Totally.
Because all of those teams in between have to win at a certain rate, right?
Correct.
2.
Yep.
So it's not like it's just like, okay, you just swap with the 7 seed. It doesn't work that way, because there's 4 teams in between. So there's a lot that could happen with those teams as well. But I don't think it's out of the question that that's where they're sitting when he gets back, if he's out that long. So look, man, here's the thing. I was terrified it was going to be worse news. I think everyone was. That looked.
Yeah, you were texting me some bad vibes.
Man,
I had to put you on mute for a couple hours.
The only reason I do that is because I got a matching set of ACL reconstructions right here sitting under this desk, okay? So I know what that motion and movement looks like, right? That little snap like that, where your upper part of your leg moves in the opposite direction of your lower part of your leg. And that's what it looked like to me. His reaction. I was terrified. This was going to be the entire season and good chunk of the start of next season, maybe even. So, man, oh man. All things considered, 4-week time frame is the best news any team in this league could possibly have gotten around an injury. Because, listen, wherever they're going to be at that time, they're going to be bunched together. Even if they were 7th, they're still going to be within striking range of 3 when he comes back with a lot of games left, and you still have Nikola Jokic. So the key is everybody get healthy, get him back. They'll be within striking range, no matter if they are 7 or not, of a few games probably to climb up and host a first-round series. Like, that's where they're going to be most likely when he returns.
It's tough because Denver, this year they have a lot of continuity. Their big 4 in particular, Cam Johnson's the new piece, but because Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon got hurt early, and then Cameron Johnson got hurt, and now as CB and Aaron Gordon are coming back, now Jokic and Cam Johnson are out. That starting lineup that I think is going to be if they win the championship this year, it's going to be largely because of that 5. They've only played 150 minutes, and they haven't played for over a month. So now and they're not going to play for another month at least, if not another 5-6 weeks. And I just wonder if you think, if this goes to the All-Star break, and by the way, to the trade deadline, so Denver might have to make trades. They kept the roster spot open. I think they feel like they were going to make one more move. But how well do you know what move you need to make when you haven't seen your fully healthy lineup very much this year? Is it enough time for a 5-man lineup to figure out who they are if they only get the time together after the All-Star break? If that's all they get, is that enough time?
Yes, I'll tell you why. Because their best player does a lot of the thinking for everybody else. He figures everything else out and speeds up that process once those guys get back together because of his IQ and his ability to make the right read all the time and scan the floor. So yes, his IQ offsets a lot of the lack of continuity because he's that smart at directing. He's that smart at finding, at making you pay defensively for mistakes. It's going to take time, but they don't need as much time as a lot of teams because of the nature of his game. The other positive, if you want to take from this, guys that go through something like this, one thing you don't have to worry about is, can Nikola Jokic regain his explosiveness? Because that's not really what he's about. Right?
Hey, he had an alley-oop dunk. I don't think I've ever seen that before. He had an alley-oop dunk moments before he got injured. So
listen, I hear you. Look, you could
go ahead. Out.
You could cherry pick your few moments of the course of Nikola Jokic's career if you want to. The good news is, this is how I would describe it's a grounded game. It's a grounded game. And it's done more with skill, strength, balance, those kind of things, much less so than like a first step or an explosive jumping ability around the rim. So that's the good news. He's gonna recover all of that vaunted athletic ability you're describing.
I think it puts the Nuggets in this position, even if he misses, like it could be as many as 20 games, even if it's only 4 weeks, because I just mentioned the schedule's so condensed for the Nuggets. By the way, another fear I have is Jamal Murray wearing down. All of a sudden, you might have to play him 37 minutes. He's playing all the back-to-backs, like just to keep the Nuggets' head above water. I'm concerned about that. But I just look at this and say Denver having a top 4 seed gets really hard now because there's too many good teams in the West. It's still possible, but if they do fall 3-4 games behind by the All-Star break, it's hard to make up 3 or 4 games when other teams are winning at a good rate, at like a 52, 53 win pace. It's hard to make up ground. So now you look at it and say, the Western Conference, Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Denver, Houston, Minnesota, those are the top teams. And then you got Phoenix, LA, what direction are they going to go? One of those teams is going on the road. It might be Denver. And what a tough break. If Denver falls to the 6, you win a 3 seed. San Antonio fights all year, gets a 3 seed. Congrats. Now you've got Denver in the first round. The West, to me, I just look at that standings and I say, the standings are hardly going to matter. Home court matters. But outside of that, there's just going to be some tough first-round matchups.
Well, one of the things I said to you, though, from the beginning was, and you and I texted when he got hurt. We were going over it, and I said, listen, here's the deal, right? Very good chance they end up 3, even healthy. Maybe 2, but let's just say 3's like likely. The Spurs are legit.
Yeah, they are.
So let's say they ended up 3rd. Here's the deal, man. From that spot, you're going to have to go through most likely San Antonio and Oklahoma City.
Yep.
Okay? On the road. All right. Well, you know what? Maybe you just get a crack at one of those earlier. And that's not necessarily the worst thing, if that's what it is. But that's the road most likely in front of you anyway. Road series against those 2 teams. So maybe you happen to get one of them earlier than you thought.
That's what's going to be the case. All right, we're going to wrap up the show today by talking about our favorite performances of the year, ones we have personally caught. Do you want to go first here? Let's just start with best star performance that you have personally caught this year, meaning you were calling the game or you were attending the game.
Oh, well, I didn't know we were doing that. I thought it was, I'm sorry, because I thought that the parameters were, we saw it.
That's fine too. I think that works as well. It's not a game you saw the highlights of or something like this. Like, no, I was watching that game and I caught that performance.
I think for me, I'm going to go and this is for a star player, right?
Star player. We're starting with star.
I got to go with Jokic on Christmas Day. I got to go with Jokic.
56 points.
56, 16, and 15 on a Christmas Day game, big stage. Now it wasn't a primetime game, although it probably should have been the way that game was played out. And that matchup with that team against Minnesota, 56, 16, and 15, and 15 for 21, and 18 points in overtime. To win a game on Christmas on that stage.
It's pretty good.
And by that time of night, by the way, on Christmas night, everybody in the league is watching. So to do it on that stage, that platform, those kind of numbers efficiently, record-setting overtime performance, I'm going to go with Jokic at the top.
I think that's a good one. I think I kind of limited myself to non-Nuggets because Jokic, honestly, I could give 4 or 5 games this year that are probably all rank in the top of what I personally watch.
Let me ask you a question. When you go to McDonald's because of this, are you afraid to order nuggets? Is it like, come on, man. Because like you're just like, you want to stay away from it all you can?
Mute legs for me, James. Will you? Mute him for real quick. I'm going to go with Steph Curry on opening night. He had 42 points. The other option here was Anthony Edwards' 44 points the other night where he hit that game-tying shot in the corner. That was just an incredible – it really was an incredible close to the game. And even for Steph Curry, it was more about the close. I think he had 18 points in the fourth quarter. This was their second game, Denver's opening night, so it was the Thursday night of that opening week. And he had 42 points, hit a bunch of threes in the clutch. And it was just – and remember, if you recall this game, Legs, I don't know if you do, he hit that crazy logo 3 to tie the game in the final seconds of it. And it was one of those games where when Steph is in the zone, there's nothing you can do. You just hope the clock runs out. And, the clock did not run out for Denver. That game went to OT, and he carried him home.
I think my runner-up was Kawhi's 55 the other night.
Yeah.
That was as Kobe and Jordan-like as you're going to watch. Like the precision with which he dominated that game.
Inevitable. Just had that sense of inevitability.
Just so the from the release to the result was so automatic and precise. It was very machine-like, and I don't know, it was really, really fun to watch. So that would be my runner-up, but I'd go Jokic's outrageous stat line on a marquee calendar day in the NBA season.
I think it's a good call. All right, let's go to best role player performance. What's the best role player performance you've seen?
I'm actually going to go with the one we just talked about a few days ago. I'm going to go Anthony Black, man.
Hey, I have him too. Number one.
I'm going with that, man. And I was looking around. I was like, some of it is like, we're a couple months in here, and it's like hard to remember like all of them, but like that's fresh. So he had the advantage of that, the freshness of that performance. But man, oh man, like they needed every bit of it too to win that game. The combination of his shooting in that game and the other ways that he scored combined with just his great defense every night.
Man, yeah.
Big time performance for a guy that, he's a role player. I mean, that's, he definitely falls into that category. Maybe he rises above that because he's so young. He might get there at some point, but right now he's considered a role player on this team.
I had that one as my number one, 38.7 of 11 from the 3-point line. The other one, and by the way, for me, when I say watching these, personally or in person, I basically kept it to performances against Denver, since that's the team I cover in person. But the other one was Devin Vassell earlier in the year. He had 35 points on 7 of 9 from 3, and the Spurs got a win in Denver, and it was all him. I mean, he made shot after shot after shot. He maybe had 5 big-time threes. Sometimes in a game you'll have 2 big-time threes. Oh, he hit 2 big ones in the clutch. Vassell had like 5 big ones that just were at the exact moment that broke Denver's back. He was fantastic, and I think of him still as a role player, even though he's kind of a scorer. I don't think of him as a star, but
can I ask you a question real quick before we do the rookie one? Somebody on here is kind of making a point about Aaron Gordon, I think, because he had the 50-point game. But
that's right.
But here's the thing, though. This is where it's like the definition of role player has to be like really defined. I consider him above that.
See, to me, Aaron Gordon would qualify. He's a role player because I'm really cutting it like an all-star caliber player and below. Because Devin Vassell's the same way. Like Devin Vassell's a really good player, but I'm not calling him a star.
No, I don't think I would put Vassell more in the role player category than Aaron Gordon. I think some teams have 2 guys and then everybody else would be a role player. Some teams have 3.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I feel like Aaron Gordon, it's close. He's just above it. That's why I really didn't consider him.
But what does he do well? He's not dump the ball into him, ISO, this or that. It's like he screens, he plays the dunker, he defends, he passes. And that's why it's like more of a real role player skill set or requirement, I guess.
Well, I guess the difference for me is the fact that his postseason run and the championship run, like when you show up every night the way that he did in a title run, you become more than a role player, because role players to me fluctuate even in those circumstances. Like they're not going to be guys that get great games every night that are role players. Role players are going to have, maybe 2 or 3 games that are really, really good in a 7-game series. Aaron Gordon showing up every night, basically the way that he did for an extended run to win a championship, that put him above that for me.
So here's where I'll go with this, and I'll tell a story that Ethan Strauss, who covered the Warriors for many years, shared, and he said that there was one game where Westbrook is just berating Draymond Green and telling him, "You're a role player, you're a role player," and Draymond said, "Yeah, I'm a great role player. You're a terrible star." And I thought it kind of fits. I think that kind of makes sense. That defines it.
I got another one for you.
Okay,
real quick. This is a fun topic. Can you be a player that clearly at one point was like all league, all-star level, like perennially, and has that kind of name power that we all recognize, but is now a role player?
I think there's examples of this. I mean, Chris Bosh is the ultimate one. What he did when he went to Miami was he had to become a role player, become less than himself.
I completely agree with that. I'd actually probably put even like a guy like Paul George in that category.
Right now, I mean, in this stage, and really for the last couple stages,
yeah. To me, the Sixers have two stars that are above role player status. It's Maxey and it's Embiid. Everybody else right now is role player category.
Dwight Howard did this for the Lakers in the year they won the championship in the bubble. So yeah, that does happen. I think absolutely. All right, let's round it out. Last thing, best rookie performance that you've seen in a game you watched this year.
Well, I thought, obviously Knipples had some big ones, and Cooper Flagg's had 2 monster ones. You saw one of them against Denver, the game he had, which really opened everybody's eyes. Jokic's too. He had a 42-point game as well. I'm actually going to go back to the very beginning of the season.
Edgecombe?
Yep.
He was so
VJ
good.
Edgecombe,
Right out the package.
first
Opening night
game of his career.
You're right. This is a great one.
In Boston.
Yeah.
Like that, and it's not like it's this heated rivalry it used to be, but it's still the closest thing the Sixers have to the rivalry is the Celtics. Regardless, man, you're a rookie. You're in Boston. Okay, you're out there with you got a couple stars on your own team, and your very first game of your career, you have the third highest rookie scoring performance on opening night.
Yeah, that's pretty good
in history of the league, and in a win, and you need them all late. I think it was even an overtime game, and he played well like down the stretch. So 34 points on the road, your very first game in Boston. I'm going to VJ Edgecombe.
Well, the thing about that one, Legs, is sometimes when a rookie has a big game, it's like, oh, he caught a corner pass 3 times and knocked it down. His were creation, man. Yeah. He was off the dribble. He was like, no, I'm making buckets. It was really, I forgot about that game. I went with Cooper Flagg. You're right. 33, 9-9 against Denver, and he just dominated the game. He was probably the best player on the court that game. Jokic was a little off that night. He was probably the best player on the court, which is impressive. I thought Ryan Nembhard also had a game that 28 points, 10 assists against Denver this year. That was really impressive. And then, of course, Derik Queen, 30 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. I caught that one live where he had all the moves. But Cooper Flagg, to me, was the only rookie that I've seen this year go up against Denver where I thought, man, is he the best player on the court tonight? That's
and the other thing about Cooper Flagg, and people, need to take notice of this because there's great competition for this Rookie of the Year. But one of the things that separates Cooper Flagg a little bit is the fact that look at Cooper Flagg's usage rate down the stretch of games. It's one of the most highly used players in the NBA in clutch time, and his ability to come through in those situations, it's one of the best in the league. As a rookie, playing out of position when he's handling the ball like that in those settings. His versatility has stood out to me, and obviously he's had – and it seems like now the 20-point threshold is like his floor on a given night. It was early in the year, he'd hit you with 20, but it would be like every third or fourth game. Now it feels like you're expecting 20 as his baseline number, and it could go up to north of 30 or in one case over 40. So I think Cooper Flagg, to me, separates himself because of the importance of when he's doing it and the usage and the versatility.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to our super chats before we get out of here, Legs. What do we have here? Chai Star says, best coaching performance of 25, coach of the year race. Jordan Ott with the Suns, Mitch Johnson with the Spurs, JB Bickerstaff with the Pistons. Interested to hear your takes. I think that's probably it.
Those top two guys for sure. I'm not trying to denigrate JB Bickerstaff at all. I voted for JB Bickerstaff last year. I had a vote and I gave it to him. So to me, what he's doing this year is not surprising. That's why I wouldn't put him in that category. I was expecting the Pistons to be near the top of the Eastern Conference. In fact, I expected them to be top 2. And there they are. But the other two guys, like Phoenix, just like identity and culturally, watching them play is a completely different product. Give the guy all the credit in the world. And then Mitch Johnson, the same thing, man. The Spurs have gotten here faster than anybody thought they could, and they're getting it up and down their roster. So he's punching every right button as well. So I think both Ott and Johnson, both of those guys, to me, front runners.
I think both of them to me as well. And if you Mitch Johnson, to make the case for him, I think the Spurs have figured out their identity. And it's not the identity most people were saying going in. There were aspects of it. But the fact that they're this good off the dribble with all these different guys, they play a beautiful brand of basketball. You helped establish that ahead of schedule, and to me, that's why I think I would give him the nod. But
hey, real quick too, I see some people shouting out Mazzulla. That's a great call. He absolutely deserves some votes, and he'll get some votes. Not having Jason Tatum and having the Celtics sitting here at 20-12, whatever the record is, like incredible that he's been. And I think maybe actually getting more credit as an actual coach than even on the team that won it. That's how it feels to me with Joe Mazzulla. So absolutely, he's one of the smartest guys in the league. Give him a lot of love. He deserves it.
I think it's a good coach of the year race, to be honest with you. This year, there's a lot of good guys. A lot of guys deserve votes. All right, what's the next one we got? Champy says, Lakers quitting mimics Luka's game. He's a quitter. No, it's not in caps, though, Legs. This one didn't come in caps.
Here's what the weirdest thing is about Luka Doncic, because you can't deny that some of that's true.
Yep.
Quits on plays.
Yeah.
Because he's so caught up in not getting a call. Quits on plays. So that's fair, man. But the weird part about it is there's the flip side of the coin, which is, but with the game tied 2 minutes on the line and he's got the ball, like the guy is completely unfazed by the competition and the pressure of the moment. Like, he's that good in those settings. But in other settings where, man, we're facing a tough bit of adversity here during this stretch, yes, it's fair to say that about him. He contributes to things going off the rails pretty quickly with his just overall body language, demeanor, and the way he conducts himself. But the game's tight, 2 minutes to go, and Luka's got the ball. You feel pretty good about your chances.
Agree with everything you said. What's the last one we got here, James?
That's all we got today.
That's all we got today. All right, hit that outro music. Oh, no, I see one from Henry here. He says, no way you think Kawhi looks good to watch.
No, you're wrong. I do. I love watching Kawhi Leonard play.
He says, no way. No way you do. That one, I was surprised that was controversial. I don't know if you checked the comments last show.
Wait, who said that, Henry? Henry, I'm coming right back at you. No way you don't. Now what?
I did like, though, the conversation in the comments last show where people were kind of sharing who it is they found aesthetically pleasing, whose game, and whose game they didn't. It's one of those subjective questions where people will just have completely different answers for that one, and I think that's what makes basketball fun. Everybody can like something different, and you can love something.
And I'll tell you real quick as we close out,
2025.
First of all, I just want to wish everybody associated with the show, you, James, everybody, Atticus, everybody, Happy New Year, man. It's been a great 2025 working with you guys. And I say for me personally, the most aesthetically pleasing basketball I watched this calendar year was you tuning up that dude at the health club.
Man,
because that was some footwork that you rarely see.
Hey, man, this is what I'm saying. I should have put myself on the list.
I know you've been saying it. And then we got the video proof of it.
There you go. Well, Happy New Year to you as well, Legs. And Happy New Year to everybody out there. We appreciate you guys hanging out. We will be back on Friday with Jason Timp, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Do us a favor, share this. If you like the show, share it on social media. And the easiest thing you can do to support the show is just hit that like button, leave a comment. It helps boost the algorithm and help people find the show. We'll see you guys on Friday and in the new year.
We all silly like the mayor.